Hey, so there's something I want to talk through that is basically a feeling of not really being able to take myself seriously. It's kind of a long-standing shadow aspect, and like talking through it kind of helps bring it to the light. So yeah, so I'm reading the book, The Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, which I haven't read in a long time, by Annie Dillard. Beautiful book, and the there's a part where she talks about how, Xerxes, the great ancient military commander, paused his entire army um, to look at a tree, basically. And she surmises he must have had some kind of samadhi experience involving this tree. And he was like, "Oh, what is it about this tree?" And so he, whatever, halted the whole army for days. And then he had his goldsmith make like a golden tree medallion for him, um, as if that could preserve samadhi. Um, And she said Pascal wrote the French word for fire on a scrap of paper and pinned it to his clothing until his death. And she surmises that it's also trying to point to some kind of experience like that. And when I read it, I thought, wow, those men really trusted their own experience, like even enough to stop an army or, pin something to his clothes for his entire life. And I was thinking, like, did I ever trust or believe my own experience the way these men did? And I named my daughter Isla, which is after it's the Turkish word for the ring around the moon, um, which was in the sky when I had my sort of mystical experience. Um, so I guess part of me must trust or believe that my experience is as good as anyone else's. Um, but yeah, I bumped up against this core wound recently, and it really, like, when the shadow of it was moving through, it was particularly intense, just like I don't know how to explain it. It's like something like a deep, just warm filth, you know, um, mixed with some kind of compression, nausea. Really unpleasant. That when the emotions get stuffed down for long enough, they seem to rot, and it's not fun letting something that old and that rotten pass through your system. And it's a fine line between suffering and relief sometimes. I'm getting better. I'm getting better toward the suffering. I mean, sorry, toward the relief side. Something's passing through right now. It's not so bad though. Yeah, just tends to happen how it happens lately. But and sometimes I get an image or a story of what it is, and often I don't. Um, Whatever that means. I was talking to a friend, and it's like stuff just happens, and we try so hard to attach some kind of meaning to it, and it's like we never know if it's a a cosmic message or a cosmic joke or just randomness. But that's our brains. Our brains are always scrambling to sort of like put it on a map somewhere, and it just doesn't really work. Um, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to talk about because our ego not being real is kind of the whole point of awakening, right? Um, but it's certainly painful to a child to feel like she's not mirrored, not attuned to at all. I mean, that causes a really deep wound. And it seems like the ego has to go through feeling validated before it can let go. Otherwise, it just feels like bypassing or like more abandonment. Um, And as a kid, my system seemed to believe that my parents were real, and if they never saw me, then I must not be real, something like that. Um, but in any case, there's always been a sense that somehow I'm just wrong in this world. Like everything I do will be wrong, and I have no idea how to know how to be right. And I'm just desperately winging it with a mask that I know is like not real and not really good either. But I don't know how to be real, and I don't know how if my real is good enough. So it's just like that's just how things are with me, sort of fumbling along forever, and that's just it. And it came with a sense of utter hopelessness of ever saying the right word at the right time, ever. Just being totally out of sync with existence. Like an absolute layer of alienation that that meant I could never settle into real time or believe that I might genuinely have something worthwhile to say or do. That's from my notes. Just trying to speak off the cuff about this. It's like just remembering being in school or whatever, and it's like I can't be real. I can't figure out what real means for me. I can't even get to that point. So it's always, I'm just always badly faking, trying to be some version of normal that doesn't really fit me, but whatever might fit me must be wrong. Yeah, it's such a deep layer of alienation. And in the present reality, it comes in the form of like I'm writing a novel, and I think it's a pretty good novel, but I can feel a little bit silly writing it because it's like, even though I've published a book before and I've ghostwritten other books, it's like, but I'm not a real writer. Like, certainly not of a, fiction. Like, who do I think I am? And, I can often sort of forge ahead anyway, but it's still this kind of, it's just a shadow. It's just a layer. It's a filter that it's not completely opaque. I can, but it's energetic. And so it can, it just shows up energetically, making me sort of dread something that I don't really need to dread. Or if I have an intuition to say, like, well, how many ways can I doubt this? As opposed to like, I'm as human as anybody else. Why would my intuition be any better or worse than anybody else's? I'm real. I mean, as real as anyone else, right? Which, okay, fine. Our identities aren't real, and yet we appear as apparent loci of consciousness. And maybe we're all having our own experience, but who's to say one experience is better than another? Who's to say one is worse than another? So anyway, oh yeah. Um, and as I understand it, by the way, we don't have to keep denying our ego forever. Like eventually we come back to it and learn to live in peace with it because we can't function otherwise. But we understand it's a garment. Like we wear it very lightly. It's like yeah, it's just for fun. There's nothing very serious about it. Um, yeah, and I think yeah, but yeah, this little part of me still, and it's a diminishing part. Like it's slowly dissolving as the shadow work goes on. But this little part still doesn't quite believe my insights, my instincts can really be real or meaningful. Um, it's this part that feels safer in this dissociated insecurity where nothing is real, nothing matters. Um, yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's dissolving. But anyway, I think women in particular are conditioned not to trust their own experience, certainly in our society. Um, I mean, we're less encouraged to take ourselves seriously than men are, for sure. Um, but men are, uh, if a man's experience in the spiritual whatever doesn't fit into some sort of patriarchal paradigm, they also can be kind of gaslit of um, like, or insulted, like if it's too quote unquote feminine or whatever, like it's just something that's, yeah, doesn't fit the patriarchal box that it tries to put men in. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to talk about that phenomenon, talk through it. When it came through the other night, I called it Fredo because I've been watching the Godfather movies, and Fredo's kind of the brother who can't do anything right. God bless him. It's like there are people who kind of spend their lives out of sync with, how did I put it? Out of sync, out of sync with existence. Um, and I'm tired of it. I would like to sync with existence. And it's scary for a lot of reasons that I've mentioned before. You get really, really present, and it's like kind of a butterfly, like a vertiginous feeling of like standing at the edge of a cliff or free fall, I guess, because you're already over the cliff. You're just admitting it. Um, it's tough to feel so, because when you're really synced in with the present, you're really synced in with death in a way, because you can't pretend that you have any guarantee of existing in the next moment, much less years from now. So um, maybe there's a protective aspect to that as well. It's an illusion, of course, because what will be, no matter what you think about it, or no matter what you try to project into an imaginary future. So yeah, I held Fredo close. I let Fredo feel some really tough feelings, and stop trying to, because when Fredo tries to be anything but Fredo, it causes problems, right? Even bigger problems. Sometimes we are Fredo. Sometimes our parts are Fredo. And this little one, yeah, this little one felt a lot. It's still working its way through. If the Fredo of the movie could have just accepted being Fredo, he would have been better off. You know, he wanted to be Michael. It didn't work out too well for him. It's tough too letting these really deep old ones move through, because You don't know who you're going to be on the other side. And yet, in a sense, you already are who you are. So it's just letting feelings through, letting filters dissolve, and I've been instructed not to fight the process. And that makes sense because I mean, it's been months of a lot of sloggy shadow work. So it's not like I can say, like, oh, I'm happy all the time now. Um, but there's an instinct that it's the right thing to do and that I don't have much of a choice. And and I'm listening to that instinct. Was I brainwashed into it? Was I talked into it? Or is it my own actual instinct? I don't know anything, but I mean, as far as knowledge about the subject, but it feels like the right thing at the right time, more and more.